Hey everyone, so I just wanted to give you a quick tour of where I'm planting all my greens this year. So if you remember, I've got 4 different gardens and I have a 4-year rotation. So I've got one for legumes, I've got one for root vegetables, one for fruiting crops, and this is all of my greens. And so this is going to be things like lettuce and spinach and celery and some of the herbs. And it might not seem that exciting, but a few years ago, a friend of mine, Travis, kind of revolutionized the way that I grow lettuces and greens and spinach, and I'd like to show you that today. So you can see I've got all these greens planted in rows along this garden bed, and I'm going to use something called succession planting. And so every few weeks as I harvest one of these rows, I'll be able to come in behind and reseed or regrow behind it so that I've got a fresh supply of young greens all summer long. So I want to show you the 2 different ways that I grow greens. And so I've got 2 rows here of Paris Island romaine lettuce. And one of the rows I'm going to grow big heads of lettuce, just like you would get big heads of romaine lettuce at the grocery store. And so I want to thin these out a little bit. I'm going to pull out the lettuce plants that have germinated here so that they're only about 1 inch apart. So this is called thinning. And I can thin them out a little bit later as they get even bigger than that. But I want them to be about 1 inch apart or so. And then if you look in this other row, there's way more because I seeded them a little bit differently. Instead of seeding one every centimeter or so, I sort of sprinkled them in a lot more densely. And I'm just going to leave these. I'm not going to thin them out because what I'm growing these for are small little leaf lettuces that I'm just going to harvest when they're about this tall. And they're going to be like little smaller baby romaine leaves. And that's how I grow most of my greens, actually, is like this. And you'll find that they're a lot more tender and flavorful when they're younger than when they get to be big heads of lettuce. So here we've got some really young fennel bulbs just starting. It's my first year growing those. I don't know how they're going to turn out, but just these little guys right here. That's the start of some fennel. And then we've got our Paris Island romaine lettuce. We've got some coastal star lettuce that I've already thinned out there. And then we've got a row of spinach. You can see the spinach is densely planted because I'm just going to be harvesting that with some scissors once it gets a little bit bigger and harvesting it nice and young. There's some arugula. You could harvest it right now and have some baby arugula, some microgreens on some pizzas or mix it in with some salad. You can get a little bigger than that as well. And then we've got some wildfire lettuce mix, which is a nice little oak leaf lettuce mix. When it comes up, I'll harvest it again when it's just this tall. And we've got some different lettuce mixes, ovation lettuce mix, wasabina. We've got an elegance lettuce mix, which has some mustard greens in it for a little bit of texture, a little bit of variety, some different shapes and different colors. A different style of arugula that appears to be growing quite a bit slower and a little bit smaller than the other arugula I planted. Some bok choy that I need to thin out. I'm going to let these get a little bit bigger, and then when I thin it out, they'll be a little bit bigger and I can throw them in a salad before I start thinning that out. And we've got a variety of different lettuces here, some more spinach. I've planted some herbs here. They're a little slower to start, a little slower to come up. We've got some cilantro that's just starting to poke out of the ground here. And I like to have a lot of different colors in my salads as well. So we've got some more mustard greens here that are a red color, and some celery down here on the very end. Didn't grow very much of it this year, but it's kind of fun. So that's what I've got going on in the greens bed this year.